We discussed about seven postulates. Sorry, seven axioms and five postulates. So I told all of them to go through that. I hope you all have done that. Just will recall what we have learned. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So just will recall the seven axioms and five postulates. By revising that, I'll go for the next slide, children. Okay. Okay, the seven axioms are: first one, things which are equal to same things are equal to one another. If equals are added to equals, the wholes are equal. If equals are subtracted from equals, the remainders are equal. Things which coincide with one another are equal to one another. The whole is greater than the part. Things which are double of the same things are equal to one another. Things which are halves of the same things are equal to one another. These are the seven axioms we have learned. Children, the questions they're asking based on axioms. Okay. These seven axioms and five postulates, at least the first four postulates are very important to remember. Am I clear, children? Axioms we are using throughout the mathematics. This is the difference for axioms and postulates. Last class I discussed with few examples, and exercise 5.1 I have started. This exercise 5.1 was which of the following statements are true and which are false, and they're asking us to give reason. This one we discussed. And second main was definitions. Definition of parallel line, perpendicular line, line segment, radius of circle, and square. And the third question. First three questions we discussed in the previous class. So I told all of them even I sent the notes also to write in classwork. I hope you all have finished that. Okay, children. So do anyone have any doubt till that?
No doubt, ma'am.
Do anyone have any doubt in that, children, till last class? Have you all practiced the definitions? Have you all gone through the definition, children? Have you all gone through the definition?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, today I'm going to start exercise 5.1, fourth question. Fourth question, if a point C lies between 2 points A and B such that AC is equals to B. If a point C lies between 2 points, so AB, the line segment, A is one end point and B is the other side end point. And C, AC is equals to BC means we should think C is in the middle of A and B. Am I clear? Then prove that AC is equals to half of AB. Explain by drawing the figure. So this is how AC is equals to BC means this says if AC is equals to BC means this one says C is in the middle of A and B. Am I clear, children? Now we are going to prove that AC is equals to half of AB. See what they've given, we have to use that. AC is equals to BC means C is in the midpoint. So if this AB is a complete chocolate, okay? So A to C is the half a chocolate. AC is the half a chocolate of complete AB chocolate, no, children?
Yes,
am I clear? That's what your result, no? So here AC is equal to BC they've given. Next, I'm adding both the side AC. So here which axiom I've used here?
First
Equals
axiom.
are added to equals. Second axiom.
Second
First axiom is different. Things will equal to same things are equal to one another. Second axiom is if equals are added to equals, then wholes are equal. Second axiom using here, I'm adding both the side AC. See this left side, if I add AC, AC plus AC, 2AC, right? What about a BC plus AC? Is it what as AB, children? 2AC is equals to AB? Anyone have doubt? Any doubt? Then AC is equals to half AB. This 2 will come towards denominator of this right side. Anyone have doubt in this sum? Any doubt, children?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall we move on to the fifth question?
Yes, ma'am.
Fifth question. They're asking about based on question number 4. In question 4, point C is called the midpoint of the segment AB, of course, because here in the previous question C is in the mid value, because AC is equals to BC means C is in the middle of AB. If C is the middle of A means we can call C is the midpoint. Right? Prove that every line segment has one and only one midpoint. So now we need to prove that every line segment has only one midpoint. Am I clear, children? So to prove that, first we'll take 2 points on the line segment AB. At the given line segment, here I'm taking both C and D. Okay, 2 midpoints. So I'm going to prove that a line segment has only one midpoint. So to prove that, I'm taking on the line AB 2 points, that is C and B. I'm going to say both C and D are in the middle. So if both C and D are in the middle means I can say AC is equals to half AB because C is in the middle. Same thing if D is in the midpoint, AD is equals to half AB. Anyone have doubt till here, children? Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible to everyone? Here we need
Yes,
to prove that for the any line segment, there's only one midpoint. So to prove that, I am taking both C and D are in the midpoint of AB. If C is the midpoint, so AC is equals to half AB. Okay, D is the midpoint, AD is equals to half AB. So am I clear? I'm taking this as equation 1 and equation 2. Anyone have doubt in this one?
No, ma'am.
So now I'm subtracting both. From 1 and 2, I'm subtracting 1 from 2. AD minus AC, left hand side, AD minus AC is equals to half AB minus half AB. So what does RHS will become? What will be the value of RHS, children? Half AB minus half AB?
Zero.
It is 0.
0. What do you mean by 0 then? AD minus AC is equal to 0. So what it says?
Ma'am,
That-
AD is equal to AC.
See, AD minus AC means that gives the CD value. CD is also 0. So the CD is 0 means what it gives, children?
Ma'am,
Both-
only one midpoint is there
midpoint.
in a line.
Yes, that means C and D if coincide each other, then only we can say it is 0. Am I clear? That means if CD becomes 0 means both C and D coincide each other. If only this possible, only when D and C coincide each other, then only we can say, then only we can prove this statement. Am I clear, children? Here they're asking for the line segment only one midpoint is there. So we have to assume both C and D are the midpoint. If a C is the midpoint, AC is equals to half of this AB. And if D is the midpoint, AD is equals to half of this AB. I'm going to subtract this both. AD minus AC, that is half AB minus half AB is 0. AD is complete A to D. If I subtract, if I take out this line segment AC, only CD is remaining. If AD minus AC, but CD also 0 means, therefore that says both C and D coincide each other. So every line segment has one and only one midpoint. Am I clear to everyone? Any doubt in the sum, children?
No, ma'am.
Only Shyam Gagan has answered. What about others?
No doubt, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Shall we move on to the next one then? Children, even though I'll send the notes, try to do the sum by your own.
Ma'am, voice
Ma'am,
is
your voice
breaking.
is breaking.
So that you'll understand better. I'll go for the next one. Children, here there's no power, so that's why the it's flux. In the figure, given below, so I'm giving the figure here. In the figure given below, AC is equals to BD. A to C is equals to B to D. Then we need to prove that AB is equals to CD. Anyone have doubt here? D. So between
No, ma'am.
AC and BD, which thing is common for both? So here they've given AC value is same as BD. AC value is same as BD. So A to C and B to D both include this BC, no children? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
B to D, both are equal. But A to C and B to D both have included this width, this B to C. Am I clear? Am I clear to everyone? So
Yes,
we
ma'am.
need to prove that
Yes, ma'am.
AB is equal to CD. So just tell me what idea you've got here.
Now we have to
prove this one.
subtract both
Very good. What do you have to subtract here?
AC and
AB
BD.
minus BD.
No.
Ma'am,
A to C.
BD minus AC,
Equals
ma'am.
to AC minus
A-
CD.
AC minus BD, ma'am.
No, no, no. Let me see. Let me say.
Ma'am, BC minus AD, ma'am.
C minus AB.
1 minute, I'll tell you here. A to C is nothing but as AB plus BC, children.
Yes, ma'am.
AC
Yes,
is nothing but
ma'am.
as A to B plus B to C. Same thing, BD is nothing but as BC plus CD. Am I clear, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So here AC is equal to AB plus BC. And same thing, BD is equal to CD plus BC. Right? Now, we know that AC is equal to BD means this AB plus BC is same as CD plus BC.
Yes, ma'am.
From
Yes,
1,
ma'am.
2 and 3, AC is equals to BD. These two are equal. Means even right side things are also equal, no? AB plus BC same as CD plus BC. Yes? Anyone have doubt till here?
No, ma'am.
So now, here BC is common both the side, right? We need to prove that AB is equal to CD. Now I'll subtract both the side BC. Here BC, AB plus BC is there, CD plus BC is there. I'll subtract both the side BC. Equal things I'm subtracting. Which axiom I'm using here?
Ma'am, subtraction Third equal axiom. to remainder something
What is the
like
third axiom?
Ma'am, if equals are
Ma'am,
subtracted from
subtraction.
equals, the remainders are equal.
Very good. Here BC equal things I'm taking. I'm subtracting from both the sides. If equals is subtracted from equals, the remainders are equal. I'm subtracting BC towards both the side. Here BC will get cancelled to CD. Equals subtracted from equals, the remainders are equal. Anyone have doubt in this sum?
No, ma'am.
Easy, no, this one?
No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Shall we move on to the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is axiom 5 in the list of Euclid's axioms considered a universal truth? What does axiom 5 says?
The whole is greater than the part.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, axiom 5 says the whole is greater than the part. Right? In the given list of Euclid axiom, we have the fifth axiom is the whole is greater than the part. This statement is true for all things and in all parts of universe. So first I'll give you one example. So like this, I want from my students also some examples for the axiom 5. So I'll give you one example. fruit is greater than the seed, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Same thing.
True, ma'am.
For example, you take a mango. If a complete fruit is greater than a seed, right? You take a
Yes,
grape,
ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Most of the fruits. Okay. Let you give some examples for this.
Ma'am, a tree is greater than a leaf.
Very
Ma'am,
good.
a rock, a mountain is greater than a rock.
Good. Next. If you take a universe, is greater than our small India.
Ma'am, a forest is larger than a tree, ma'am.
Good. Some more.
A car is greater than an engine.
Elephant is greater than ant.
Ma'am, a flower is greater than the petal.
Ma'am, a
Very
piece
good.
of cake is greater than a cake. Cake is greater than a piece of cake.
Ma'am, whale is greater than
Very
elephant.
good.
Ma'am. Whale is greater than elephant.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Next.
the ocean is bigger than the animals in it.
Very good. So I hope now all of them it is clear now the meaning of this. The whole is greater than the part. Ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am? Yeah, Aishwarya. No, Aishwarya. Car is greater than, yeah, Shamika has told me that. Very good, children. So I hope now the statement is clear to everyone. The whole is greater than the part. So this one, by giving example, you can explain. Okay. So we can say it is a universal truth. This is the reason the fifth axiom they are calling as universal truth. Am I clear, children? Am I clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
By giving few examples, you can prove this is a universal truth. We'll go for the next question. So we finished with the exercise 5.1. So now I'm going to explain the next concept in the same chapter, equivalent version of Euclid's fifth postulate. What Euclid's fifth postulate says? Anybody explain the fifth postulate? If a straight line falling on two straight line, if a straight line falling on two straight lines makes the interior angles on the same side of its taken together less than two right angles, then the two straight line, if you produce indefinitely, meet on that side on which the sum of angles is less than two right angles. Two right angles means this one video I've showed. Two right angles is it is 180 degree less. That one we explained. The last slide, the first class of Euclid geometry, I've explained. Am I clear to everyone, children? You remember that? So we'll see more with that example, children. Equivalent version of Euclid's fifth postulate. You see what it says. In the history of mathematics, the Euclid's fifth postulate is very significant. Though there are several equivalent versions of this postulate, but we state the following axiom called the Playfair's axiom. So I think you can, if you have a textbook, you can take out that Playfair axiom. I'll explain it. This page number 86 they've given here. Those are textbook you can take out, children, or just see here. For every line L, this is the line L, and for every point P, this is the point P, not lying on L. This point P is not lying on L. There exists a unique line M passing through P and parallel to L. So here P here in the point P, two lines intersect and the one line is passing through the P, that is M. That M is parallel to L. Am I clear, children? According to this statement and this figure, just I explain. Am I clear? For every line L and every point P, not this P is not lying on L, there exists a unique line passing through P, and that is M line, that is parallel to L. This is what they are telling. Am I clear? So two distinct intersecting lines cannot be parallel to the same line. So here at point P, two different lines are there. So this cannot be parallel to the same line, that is M. So I'll explain once again. Here, this at a point P, two lines are intersected. These two lines is not parallel to the M line M. That's the meaning. Am I clear, children? Anyone have doubt in this one?
No, ma'am.
So based on this, I'll go for the exercise 5.2. In textbook 8, page number 87, they've given some examples to understand about these children. Okay, we'll see exercise 5.2. There are two questions are there. How would you rewrite Euclid's fifth postulate so that it would be easier to understand? So the postulate you find it quite something different to understand compared to remaining four. So they're asking us to explain easier way to understand. Am I audible to everyone? Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So this same thing, the Playfair method they have written, given the equivalent version of Euclid fifth postulate, children, they're asking us to write fifth postulate in a easier way to understand. So we have two distinct intersecting lines cannot be parallel to the same line. Just now I explained with this step. So this is the two intersecting line. Intersecting line cannot be parallel to the given line M. And even this is not parallel to the line L also. Only M is the line which is passing through P is parallel to L, but not the line which is passing through P, and these two lines are not parallel. So by using this, I'm explaining the next one. We can have two distinct intersecting lines cannot be parallel to the same line, or you can take this fact also. The axiom asserts two facts. There is a line through P which is parallel to L, and there's only one such line. You can see this figure, children. There's only one line which is past the intersecting point, and that line is passed parallel to the other line L. That's what I gave two different answers for this to understand, children. You can write only this statement, it's also correct, or you can write this answer also. Already we have learned in axioms, there is a line through P which is parallel to L. So with the intersecting point P, the line which passes the P, that is parallel to the next line L. And there is only one such line. Only one line is there. This is what we explained. You can write this statement or this statement for this particular given question. Am I clear to everyone? Just now I explained this one, children. This is the equivalent version of fifth postulate. Fifth postulate, what they said, one line they've joined. So maybe towards the left side, it is less than 180, or towards the right side, it is greater than 180. This is how they gave. Depends on the figure which we have drawn while explaining this fifth postulate. So same thing, they're asking to write equivalent version, similar version of fifth postulate. Somebody asked the question that, ma'am, does that mean that two lines cannot be parallel if one line passes through a point? Yes, if two lines, if it is passed through, means only one line is passing through that. This is not, this M is not parallel to this two intersecting line. This is what they are giving. These two intersecting line, this M is not parallel to point P. Only M is parallel to the one line. Am I clear? Shangagan?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll go to the next question. Next question. Does
Ma'am, I
Euclid's
cannot see the screen,
fifth
ma'am.
postulates this exercise 5? Only one or all of them?
Only one.
You all
Ma'am, you
can
can
see
see,
the
ma'am.
screen.
You can see, ma'am.
Then I think the problem is with you only, dear. Check it once.
Yes,
Does
ma'am.
Euclid's fifth fifth postulate imply the existence of parallel lines? Explain. Parallel lines means you know. Yes, of course, this Euclid fifth postulate particularly for parallel lines. So yes, if a straight line L, this is the line L, falls on two lines, that is M and N, such the sum of interior, this is the fifth postulate I've written here, such that sum of the interior angles of one side, if I take towards this side, sum of the cointer-angle, you can say cointer-angles are what? Supplementary, no children? Inter-angles on one side of L, one side of L is two right angles. So already we learnt in our grade 7, interior angles are supplementary. Cointer angles are supplementary. What? This is the line L. If line L pass through the line M and N, parallel line M and L at two distinct points, one side, any one side if I take, so those two are two right angles. Two right angles means what? Supplementary angle. That is nothing but as 180 degree. Sum of this angle and this angle is 180. Then by Euclid's fifth postulate, the line L will not meet on this side of L. Also, we know that the sum of interior angles on the other side, towards this side, L will be two right angles, 2. So even towards this side, if we add also, it is 180. These two angles, if we add, is 180. Thus, they will not meet on the other side also. So what it says, even towards this side if I extend, these two lines will not meet. Even towards this side also if I extend, these two lines, if I extend this M1 line towards right side, these two lines will not meet at all. So that those on same side of a line L is supplementary. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry, because of power issues, it has got disconnected, children.
It's okay, ma'am.
It's okay.
Can share the video. Then you know whatever I said, you didn't hear then. Let's explain this one. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes,
Am I
ma'am.
audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So sometimes it's fluctuating. So you should try to adjust, children. So what this fifth postulate says, so towards left hand side or towards right hand side, if I extend this parallel line indefinitely, so what they're telling is same side of this transversal line, it is supplementary. Means sum of these two angles is both the side is 180. They will not meet on the other side also. So both the side it will not meet. That's what this says in a short way. Am I clear? Am I clear to everyone? The lines M and N never meet. That is, they are parallel. So do anyone have any doubt in this chapter, children?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Chapter finished, ma'am.
Chapter is over. This chapter is over.